Welcome to this week's edition of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, your host, and I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. I am feeling in a sort of mood this evening, so I decided to wear red because I think sometimes we need to be reminded of the significance and the power of the color red. Yeah? For those of you who are now joining us for the first time, welcome to, I think, what is considered to be the #1 program on current affairs and so on in the island of Tobago, and I dare say Trinidad and Tobago and the region. I say the region because persons even throughout the Caribbean view the Tobago Updates network and are privy to the program. And I've been asked questions about the program in many other places. I can, in fact, say that you have made the Minority Report the #1 viewed program on Tobago Updates. This evening, we have a very interesting program. As per usual, as you know, we always bring the facts, discuss the topics, present the relevant information, and give you, the public, the opportunity to come to your own conclusion. But before we get to that, if you are looking at us this evening and you want to share the information to someone else, you can tell them to view us on Tobago Updates website or the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, or the most frequently viewed platform is the Tobago Updates Facebook page. Persons like to have the opportunity to interact and so on and make comments while the show is going on. But if you are a subscriber to the Amplia network, you can tune your television to channel 102. That's channel 102 on the Amplia network, and you can view us live in the comfort of your home and in your living room. If you have a comment that you want to send to us, you have information you want to share with us, you have documents you want to send to us so that we can highlight on the program, photos, etc., you can do so by sending your messages to 284-6597. That's 284-6597 or 356-8833. 356-8833. And folks, we obviously encourage your interaction. We welcome your comments. We welcome your statements, your recommendations, as it were. As we often say, we ask folks to simply be respectful. We ask folks to give each person the mutual respect, and let's have a clean program. Watch your comments and so on. We have children. This is a family viewed program. So we have children who actually log on and participate in the program because it is always informative. So feel free to share your comments, your recommendations, and so on as we go forward. I want to get right into it this evening. With me in studio, I have, and I'll start from my immediate right, as the Bible says, seated on the right hand of the Father. So we always go to the immediate right first. We have the minority counselor in the house, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit, always looking so fresh and ready to go with information. How are you?
Good evening, Marlon. Good evening to the minority leader. Good evening to all of you locked on to another episode on the Minority Report. Thank you for making us and the #1 program on Tobago Updates. And thank you for continuing for your support, your love, your prayers. We really do appreciate your support.
Very well. Thank you very much, Petal. Welcome. And directly across from me, the man himself, the man who is versatile, flexible, all over the place. I almost said omnipresent because I'm certain people would have just viewed that live with him soaked in the rain, and here he is in studio with us tonight. Assemblyman Kelvon Morris, the minority leader. Welcome, welcome.
Good evening, Marlon. Good evening, Councillor Daniel Benoit. Good evening to our loyal listeners, our beautiful people of Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and the region. It's definitely a pleasure to be here this evening. And, we just want to thank you. We want to thank you for your supporters, Councillor Benoit. Just expose. We really appreciate the prayers. We appreciate, there's the word. Usually we'll get a WhatsApp with an encouraging word, encouraging text. encouraging message, and that goes a long way. So we are grateful, and we are looking forward to the dialogue to come this evening. I expect it to be very interesting because Minority Counselor, I've worked with Marlon now for at least 3 years, very closely, and I've known Marlon for about 10 years. And trust me, the Marlon I saw last Saturday is a Marlon I've never seen before. And I want to know, Marlon, tell us
what would have happened?
what really transpired
to bring out that Marlon.
Normally is a gentle giant we have, but that was a beast. What really transpired?
I think I should just script this response because I have been given this answer all weekend, all day today, last night. People just calling and saying the same thing you said, Kelvin, that I've never seen you in this mood. But just to clear the air on it, what happened is that there is an NGO group that about 27 persons who would have come together, and they give their own personal contributions monthly, and they identify families throughout Tobago that are at risk and in need, and every month they try to reach out to a particular family. They provide food support, they provide books and clothes for children for school, they would have constructed toilet facilities for a particular family, they would have assisted in furnishing the house and that kind of thing. So they've been around for about 2 years and have been doing a remarkable job in terms of reaching out to persons like that. Obviously, if a group such as that asks for your assistance, regardless of what, I would have had a leg injury, as you all know, all of last week, hindering my ability to move around freely. But when the call came, I said, it wouldn't hurt me to come out and really assist. It was just to put up clothes. They had a nice thrift shop and a soup sale. So in the process of getting this done, I decided to do a little ad for them on the morning and go on my Facebook page, my personal page, and tell persons that, listen, this is going on, this has started, I had put up the flyer and so on. So feel free to come out and support. Nothing long, probably about 20, 30 seconds. And the day began, and things were going good. I was assisting them in helping selling the clothes and so on. And there was a real spirit of camaraderie among the women. It's primarily women in the group. So they really were glad to have a meal to, move a table, move a chair, move this, lift up this, push this around and so on. I got a message sometime into the morning saying to me that the message came first saying, these people cannot be serious. I was like, well, what? And then I got a screenshot of a screenshot that was uploaded by our Deputy Chief Secretary, Faith B. Israel. Mind you, whose portfolio is the Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. This is her responsibility. What these people were doing, this NGO, is what her division is responsible for. And we know what have been the challenges. Persons have gotten their food cards taken from them. People who keep going to them on an ongoing basis are getting turned back. They are now taking a quote-unquote all of Tobago approach to helping people who are hungry and starving and the children can't go to school. She found nothing else to do with a critical situation like this than to screenshot my face doing my ad to help these people and to politicize it by saying, Trevor, big up your whole self. And then, let me refrain from using the terms clown or idiot. The other lady joins the post and posts something else and saying that we should pay rent. Now, at the point in time when I saw it, I was just looking at the Deputy Chief Secretary's post. The funny thing is that somebody who is her friend that sent it to me. Her friend, because she put it on her status. But she posted it to Facebook and then deleted it. And then put it on her status. So one of her friends screenshot it and sent it and said, this is wrong. While I'm on looking at it, somebody calls me and says, go over to the other lady's page, Certica Williams, and I see the next post. And I just felt that for so long, these people, they've instilled such fear in Tobago. Tobagonians are afraid to even speak about when they are wronged. Tobagonians are afraid to comment on a post on Facebook to say that, hey, I don't agree with this. It's literally an atmosphere of tyranny that has overtaken this place and oppression. And at that point in time, I just went backwards. And the words just started to come out. And I made no apologies because I think that it's time that all of Tobago open their eyes and see the tyranny that we are living under. Somebody called me today and said that they were going to comment on the post, but they are afraid because the victimization is real. They were at a meeting on last Sunday, and they said when they got into work, they were called to the office and said, this told them, we understand you were at a particular meeting. Watch yourself.
And that is real.
That's what is happening here.
Because people are afraid to speak out. Like some parents called me a week or so ago with the incident on the port with the SSS. And the parents were upset. And one parent was saying to me, you know, she feels as if she can't speak.
Exactly.
Like I feel wronged. I feel a particular way. And is a problem when I express my views if it is not in support of. And that same issue with the political meeting. I got information today that someone else was at the meeting on Sunday who would have provided goods and services to the Tobago House of Assembly. And a senior member of staff under this current administration is indicating I ought not to pay you for the goods and services that the THA procured from you because I see you sitting at a meeting.
You know what is ticking me off? They believe like if the resources of Tobago
is only for the TPP or the independents.
Yeah. And that is the part that, I mean, beside all the other nonsense, we are all Tobagonians, whether you are TPP, PNM, PDP. This is enshrined in the Constitution, your freedom of association, and anybody threatening that, you have to be wary of somebody.
Of course.
What is even... Who voted for the TPP to give them that kind of claim that they believe they are more than everybody else?
Yeah. But whatever happened to governance?
What about governing? You remember what about taking off our
the election is over.
Election robes.
Yes. Put on the governance robe.
Think about it. Here it is. A secretary. I don't recall a time you could have found a secretary, a PNM secretary, being so petty. In fact, they were so busy that you hardly ever see a PNM secretary on Facebook, much less to be having these kind of conversations. These conversations that don't add any value to the lives of anyone.
Well, people are saying now, if you need the attention,
they're coming even under posts. They're coming under normal posts, and you're seeing them there. I want to know where they're finding the time. Don't they have Tobago business to deal with?
Yeah.
So imagine on a Saturday, when an initiative like this, which should catch your attention as the Secretary of Social to support. The response I would have expected from a responsible Secretary of Social Protection and a Deputy Chief Secretary is perhaps, let me put on my clothes and find my way down to give support and see what is going on, see what the needs are. But instead of doing that, you are so fickle in your mind, petty. The pettiness of this administration is sickening. It's like child's play.
Yeah.
That you are busy trying to do something to help the vulnerable. And all they see is someone who supports the PNM.
Yep.
The stage on the sea, we may not agree with it, but it's already there. And we might as well put it to use because it's $2 million spent.
Yeah.
And what it is right now is a lover's lane. And if we can use it for something to productive to benefit, where you have a thrift shop activity, that is something to be trivializing and making.
I only knew it was there the morning because I just, it's the morning I say, hey, where is it going to be? Where you all setting up? So that I'll just come early. And they said next to the Tobago, I love Tobago sign. Because when I got there, I realized next to the Tobago sign meant on the... And it didn't even enter my mind.
Because I saw that is all they said. Your purpose was to support and assist.
But more than that, minority leader and Mr. Moderator Marilyn, the Prime Minister on several occasions would have indicated that on the morning of the swearing in, the number of persons he saw that were coming forward to swear in were persons who were a part of the Tobago House of Assembly, who were employed at the Tobago House of Assembly. And under a PNM-led THA, you had members of this administration, current THA assemblymen, who were working under the past administration, ran for office on several occasions, did not win
and
went back into the THA, cussing the PNM up and down on social media and kept their jobs. And they wanted to speak at that time about victimization. What is the conversation now about victimization? That people feel so afraid that they don't want to speak.
And even people, it is so sad what is happening. Like, there's a young lady, someone called me, I don't want even to give gender, but someone called me. Their contract was up for renewal. Hadn't heard from them after inquiring, only to be told, well, not even to be told. The day before the person, or the Friday, it was a Friday, the person was to return on the Monday. Supposed to return, normal return to duty. A letter is dropped off
at the home
of the person to indicate that their service is no longer required.
After
working over 12 years in the THA. And let me tell you how imagine even after going through that, the person is afraid even to be identified because they're
and they're afraid to talk.
So
after they lose their job,
they're still afraid to talk because this is the Tobago that we are living in right now.
This is what it has become.
It is a scary place. There are people who don't even want to be seen. I know people leave WhatsApp group chat because I'm in the group chat. No, that's to tell you how.
This is the reality.
It's serious.
This is the reality.
These people are scaring people into submission because of their wicked and vindictive ways.
Well, when the Chief
Look what they did. As soon as they came in, they looked for the units that they believe it have known PNM faces, and they didn't care if you qualified. If they didn't care if you were there for a long period, they didn't even care how you were engaged. They didn't even care if they have to pay down the road. Because they're saying at Executive Council, but based on my understanding, let it go to court. We don't have to pay.
Exactly.
They don't have to pay it from their pockets, so they don't care what is the end result. Once they bust the throat of people that they believe is PNM, what kind of people are we? And that is why I make no apologies to telling one of the gentlemen who tried to question my integrity in the house that I don't understand how you could be of the cloth and sit down watching and presiding over that kind of wickedness.
Foolish
and you
behavior.
Preaching to people. Knowing that
it's
all taking bread out of people's mouth and all sitting down and laughing around the table when all the busting through.
But minority leader, is that the same individual that promised Tobagonians that after they dismiss CPEP workers, they will re-engage in other parts?
Remember when my political leader referred to them as the plaster liar or whatever? He took offense. You gave a commitment to the CPEP people that no one will actually lose their job. They will be redeployed. So even if you didn't get through back in this restructuring exercise,
will find somewhere
you
else.
would be put into another place in the Tobago House of Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Where are these people now? So many of them are home.
Still.
There are persons, just today I've spoken to a gentleman. The gentleman now lives nowhere. Is on the verge of selling it. Well, I guess the house is already taken up because down in URP, good worker, but through political small-mindedness.
Yeah.
So, and they don't realize they are destroying families.
They don't care
They
about
are
that.
destroying families.
They do not care about that. They don't. Honest
So
to God, they don't.
I don't know. It's like a kind of bitterness. It's like a kind of
Spite
hatred.
and
It's
hate.
a kind of spite.
But
It's
you're
the
feeling
same
it.
venom you see them spewing towards Trinidad. They're spewing it on their own Tobago
They've
people.
turned on their own people in Tobago.
When have we become this
When have we-
society?
I
This is no longer
shudder.
a society.
I shudder because I could tell you without fear of contradiction the amount of persons while I worked with Claudia Groom Duke that gained employment under Claudia Groom Duke that were not supporters, openly not supporters of the
Because
PNM.
but they had to be
Till
Ghanaians.
eventually, when some of them came over, eventually, just because they must be recognized, but look, I don't support them, and I get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
minority leader, if only persons who are, well at the time, PDP, or those opposed to the PNM people would have had to support them for them to have a 14-1.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you can't look at me and decide that I look like PNM and I possibly didn't vote for you in the election.
Look, down at
so
Tatco,
I do not deserve.
I know for a fact that a number of persons who are now facing this challenge down at Tatco would have supported this administration because there were persons who felt at the time, for one reason or the other, perhaps based on certain things, that they just wasn't comfortable
with what the PNM at the time.
With the PNM
So
at
let
the
us
time.
give someone
and
else
they
an
decided that they would give support because they believed that even their own personal arrangement would have been more secure. Only to realize you give them the support and they turn around and bite them. Because they don't care now. They don't care one bit about the worker in Tatco. They have no care, no heart. Because when the PNM made the transition, the PNM could have said that because you would have paid off people from different units and then you merge.
And there were three
organizations. But no one lost, they did not lose their jobs, nor did they lose their earnings. So you weren't at no point at a worse disadvantaged position. The PNM ensured that you maintained your status and your earnings within the organization. Fast forward to now, persons are on month to month. Some are sent home. Some persons have not been called back. And when you check the profile of the people who haven't been called back, they're either their parents are high-profile PNMites, or even the individuals may be identified as PNMites. What kind of Tobago
foolishness
are they creating?
But minority leader, even with that, I remember members of opposing parties would sit with you comfortably in any public space and eat food, drink, you argue over varying policies. When it was finished, you all talk, you laugh, you hug up, and you go back home. No hate, no bitterness. That is not happening now.
But many of the persons who now hold the seat of power, I could tell you without fear of contradiction, we shared a very good relationship when we held the seat of power. So PNM, we were all embracing. We would treat everybody as Tobagonians because we are Tobagonians first. But now that the tables have turned, they have an attitude of that I have to beat you down. I want to see you at your lowest low.
You should
you
not
you
get
have to
anything.
suffer. They're doing it to the
Remember the
contractual.
Those are
statement.
some of the words from members of this executive.
Remember the
That
statement.
P&M people must suffer.
No justice.
But
and
they
it
could-
came
And
from their
so
then
you
political leader.
campaign is so you shall govern.
yeah.
Exactly. No justice for those with the big red flags. Now, what people didn't understand, they thought by separating the cell that they were separating from the demon, not realizing that it's right there amongst them. And what we are seeing here is venom oozing out of this administration. The island is not going anywhere. There's no development. Since Saturday, and I wanted to raise this, persons have been calling and talking about issues that they're having, that they are afraid to even go. Parents have called concerning Roxborough Sec, saying that they had to be buying clothes over and over for their school children because the furniture.
But more than that, I've spoken to parents who want to know, how could the Secretary of Education come and boast that you have spent over $65 million in 2 years? And they say the problems in the school, like it is worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
Yeah.
A parent
And it's
call
just
and
for the
say,
devotion
Of the
these
teachers and the principal.
that is why the schools remain, because people are actually...
But how many principals? We would have visited schools upon the reopening, and how many principals that we visited that confessed that nothing happened in the school throughout the July-August vacation. But they are opening the school. They have decided to come together with parents to do whatever they can do to reopen the school.
A parent said that in Speyside High, every time it rains, the school floods.
Well, look at
but we
the
saw
video with Scarborough Secondary. Yes. Another school at the secretary boasting
and
about.
the school the secretary
Yes, the
boasting
secretary
about.
came boasting.
Yes.
That, and you know, you really have to take the words with a pinch of salt, because you remember, just last
the same
couple
sitting.
weeks, same sitting, Councillor Daniel Benoit asked about this this drain down at Canaan, and they boasted they have solved the problem.
Yeah. I don't know what you all don't understand. What is the meaning of flood?
Yeah.
What does
few
flooding
moments
mean?
later, it's because not us, but a
Nature.
normal member of the community trying to get maybe to the airport or so, had to turn around and had to was moved to videotape this river.
Yeah.
So it
$2
wasn't even a little bit of water on the side, in a full river.
And
that was one of many.
After $2
That's
million spent, and you want us to accept that as good governance, to clap you. Because when you look at them, kill them dead, that they are doing something so extraordinary. You see them clapping themselves for patching some potholes. They have brought, one of the things that I'm concerned about, they have lowered the standard for what passes as good governance to so low that Tobagonians may very well forget what good governance means.
Yeah.
Because it has, imagine if just now they may even bring out ribbon when after for cut it for
patching the road.
Patching the road. Because they clap themselves for patching roads.
Yeah.
Imagine the secretary is clapping herself, the Secretary of Education, for spending the most money on the school repair program
in history,
while the schools remain with a number of issues. Imagine, it is the most times in the history and the most schools in the history of school reopening that have not opened.
Yep.
Yet you are clapping yourselves for spending the most money. Imagine they clap themselves for completing a road in 19 days, but not recognizing they spent $1 million a day for that road, when that road could have been paved for $8 million.
Yeah.
So you spent a double and some, but yet you clap yourselves. They clap themselves for abandoning projects, because when we brought emotion, they changed emotion to say they are doing so well.
Yep.
So they have no issues. I drove through Lekoto Road, because that's a road I go on very frequent, and that road is terrible.
Yeah.
Just as
They're
bad
gonna
as
close
my
it
road
down.
in
road?
Montpelier.
Which road in Tobago? Right
It's
now.
It's not
No, the
terrible.
roads are horrible, and that is one. When you talk to the average Trinidadian, say what you want. Trinidadian used to Tobago was
Talk
the
about-
envy of
yeah.
Trinidadians
Of
when it comes
comes to
to
road.
the
Road and
conditions of
infrastructure
our
and-
road infrastructure. They
Yeah.
will tell you Tobago Island roads real nice, innit?
Mm-hmm. Everybody
That was
will say that.
something that. So when you hear people saying the PNM didn't
And the
do,
place
you
clean.
want to know
21
where did
years.
they live?
Yeah. Disingenuous.
Disingenuous. Road infrastructure. Talk about a development amongst community centers. People used to, the community centers were being upgraded. It's almost making sure that we have safe spaces in the communities.
And that's
Recreational
why the Chief
facilities.
That's why the Chief Secretary had no other option but to
And
confess
he confessed.
the
in
development of Tobago over the PNM administration. Ratio of community centers to people, ratio of health centers per capita, ratio of lighted playing fields and playing grounds.
He had no choice.
He had no
Health
choice.
centers,
Yes.
when you look at the... So he had no choice but to admit that the former PNM administration
and contributed to the development of Tobago. And it was for them now to pick up where the PNM left off. And we continue to say that governance is a continuum.
And that is what hurts me the most, because for me, you had such an overwhelming mandate, 14-1. You've also had a platform where you don't have to build community centers. You don't have to go and build playing fields. You don't have to build health centers. All you really have to do is maintain.
And
upgrade in
if
some
required.
instances, because as we evolve, you'll have to.
Of course.
And that
they
are
can't do.
failing at miserably. All you have to do is maintain and upgrade.
The PNM makes governance
look
easy. So everybody feel like they could come in and do it.
Yeah. So
Marlon, I feel your pain and I understand, because I found, I just want to say to this current executive, you know, it's time that Olia really, I'm not sure that even after 23 months going on 24 months, Olia approaching halftime. I'm a footballer, so I'll take it in the con. Olia approaching halftime, right? And during this Christmas period, I want to really use that period to sit down and do some reflection. And I really hope that Olia would recognize that, one, Tobago currently is not in a good place. I also hope that you all will recognize that every Tobagonian deserves an opportunity to contribute and benefit from the resources that is given to the people of Tobago. And finally, I just simply want to see this administration put aside the pettiness, put aside the hatred, put aside the venom, put aside the bitterness, and let's work in the best interest of Tobago. We as the minority, you as the majority, you as the Tobago House of Assembly, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Stop the fighting. It have enough war across the world. Look what's happening in Israel and in Palestine. Look what's happening in Russia, and look what's happening in Ukraine.
Yeah, and when we should
why you want to wage war is war against the PNM people in Tobago, war against the central government and Trinidadians. What wrong with all that?
Yeah. I would simply say, do as you promised. You promise that you will fix it. You promise greater transparency. You promise good governance. You promise that no one will lose their jobs. Those were your words.
Yeah.
Do better by Tobagonians.
And I mean, just minority leader, you were pointing out quite a number of things there in terms of projects that stop and the infrastructure and so on. I know the director has a few things that he will run. But when we look at the sporting facility, we look at the Goodwood Pavilion, we look at the Charlottesville Community Center.
Look at the indoors.
The indoor. We look at the field in Canaan, Bonaccord. And Mr. Director, you could run the shots there now. These are symbols of a failed administration.
Yeah. And this is halfway. And
halfway.
Yeah. And these are things you met. All you had to do was complete. As Councillor Benoit said, governance is a continuum. And you see, once you understand your responsibility, yeah?
Watch that.
And so children are deprived of the opportunity. That is a sporting mecca. That is a field that birthed Dwight York.
Yes. Look at it.
So many talented Tobagonians.
And you know what I heard the boast was? That they put up a wall.
But part of the real...
And the field is derelict.
But remember, in their first budget presentation, it was said that they will collaborate.
Go on to the others, Mr. Director.
Persons within the community to fix the fields, starting with Calder Hall.
Yeah. Watch this.
We are still yet to see the collaboration with entrepreneurs in the community to do something as simple as to fix playing fields.
And everything is being done in secrecy in the dead of the night. Do we know who is doing that work at Calder Hall at this time?
Well, the work seemed to have ended, but no. And the Secretary of Infrastructure
they refuse to answer.
Could not provide
people even on the entire north side started just sending photos of what Bloody Bay looks like, of the condition of the road. Wow. Look at this. This is right next to the Bloody Bay field there. Yeah. This is a failed administration, and all they do is go to areas, little areas that they've done something and pose there. This isn't SCAB. This is our capital.
Sanctus Hill leading to one of our main primary schools,
Pentecostal
Light and Life.
And look at the condition of these roadways. Look at it. It's falling away. But we spend 19 million on a road that was unnecessary instead of fixing this.
So it's about priority.
Prioritizing. So how long would Tobago want to live?
I've been begging for this road. At least patch the road. If you don't want to pave the road. And
I passed there this morning.
You have to go to the mechanic.
What's your condition?
You had to negotiate which pothole to jump in.
Lined up to be delivered. And just because the people of Darrell Spring Wim decided to vote the PNN, they are being punished.
That is it. Victimization, wickedness. But Minority Leader, as the photos are running, and we're talking about priority and prioritization in terms of spending and so on. There's an issue that you brought to the public light a couple of weeks ago, and we heard the Deputy Chief Secretary and the Chief Secretary try to dance out of the issue and explain and dance and use, as usual, flowery words. We're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, I want you to at least continue to explain to Tobago and pick up from where you left off with the spending at the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, which continues to remain unanswered. So we're going to go for a short break, and when we get back, we continue with Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary fiasco.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch number 1, the building formerly occupied by Coastal. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, building 1 and 2.
Hey, hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's standard. Their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive Collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
You know, who would have ever believe Jessica could take care of a child,
I know, right? I'm a kinship foster parent to my nephew Malik.
Papa, you remind me of my grandmother, you know, when she used to take care of my cousins.
If I didn't step in, I don't know where he would have ended up. Plus, I get support from Children's Authority, training, and counseling.
But Jessica, you not married?
That doesn't matter. Once you have a safe home and you're related to the child, you're good.
So they just gave money to do this?
Yeah, they do give me some money.
So, Auntie, you can buy a lamb I gave you for me?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Malik, but that money's to take care of you. Okay, smubble up is.
I will not try. Mommy, you can buy
No.
Wait, I didn't even finish my sentence.
About Lamborghini, you could get lamb stew for lunch.
Auntie Jessica could only come when you come in, because all them does do is talk people business.
Malakay Emily call it going on the bed.
But Mommy, the boy don't even live here.
Yeah, go to your bunkers.
What? Bunkers? Where's that?
I think I'm getting pretty good at this.
Hi folks, we are back this evening. You're viewing the Minority Report. In studio with me, Minority Leader, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, and the Minority Councillor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit. Before we went to the break, Minority Leader, I was laying the carpet for a discussion that we want to be able to continue concerning an issue that you would have brought out, picking up on a news report and taking the opportunity to lay the question and then to ask publicly for a response from the Deputy Chief Secretary. Before we go into it, I want to run the clip so that viewers can get the context of what we're speaking about. So I'll ask the director just to cue that up, and let's have the clip, please.
There is no truth to the allegations that workers were receiving exorbitant salaries from the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary. This, according to the Deputy Chief Secretary, Dr. Faith B. Israel, who responded to an allegation made by Minority Leader Kelvin Morris. Dr. B. Israel responded at a press conference held by the THA yesterday. More in this report from Candice Jackson.
Minority Leader Kelvin Morris has alleged that several individuals were being employed in various positions within the Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, the ODCS, with exorbitant salary packages. The total salaries amounted to $4.27 million over a 22-month period for 8 employees. In response, Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith B. Israel defended the salary structure.
The figures that are presented there are actually not even close to industry standard salaries. And one of the things we have to be conscious of the fact is that when we want production out of the Tobago House of Assembly, we have to be very willing to pay individuals for the technical capacity that they are bringing to the table.
Not only did she defend the salary packages, but Dr. B. Israel also revealed that not all of the individuals were employed for the full 22-month period.
Those salaries were actually part of a process where the management services unit looked at what was out there, looked at what was, okay. Many of them were even way lower than what the industry standards were, and that was what was recommended. But again, in many instances, many of those individuals are not even currently working with the Tobago House of Assembly.
The Deputy Chief Secretary cautioned Tobagonians to not be deceived by various allegations circulating on social media.
So that I think that Tobagonians need to be conscious of the fact that information like this is really put out to kind of distract us from some of the bigger issues that are going on.
The office was established when Chief Secretary Fali Augustine assumed the position in December 2021. The ODCS aimed to advance the pursuit of greater autonomy for Tobago, foster connections with Tobagonians residing in Trinidad, and engage with the global diaspora. 2 offices were established, one in Tobago and the other in Trinidad. Initially, Assemblyman Watson Duke was appointed to the position of Deputy Chief Secretary, but he resigned from the post in September 2022 following public disagreements with Augustine. After his departure, Dr. B. Israel was assigned to the portfolio. The Trinidad office has been closed, with the Chief Secretary stating that they are reevaluating how the ODCS should operate in the future. Candace Jackson, Tobago Updates, Television News.
So, quite a number of issues raised there that we see even the Deputy Chief Secretary contradicting herself from the word go.
Well, the headline itself is one that I hope that Tobago Updates would review and make an apology, because clearly at no point, based on what I heard from the secretary, the Deputy Chief Secretary, did she deny that the information was inaccurate.
Exactly.
In fact, she tried to justify the salaries by saying that the salaries that were quoted were actually not was below industry standards, meaning that yes, we're paying them a lot of money, but that money that we pay them is still not enough. It's less than what. And I want to simply ask. I mean, I want to get into some things, but I want to ask the Deputy Chief Secretary if a technical advisor getting $31,000. Right? In the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, if that isn't exorbitant. And in the context that every other technical advisor is being paid about $19,000.
Right.
And what is the reason for this person getting $31,000 when your senior technical advisor is getting $33,000? And what is the need for a senior technical advisor in the office of the deputy chief and that technical advisor? And then you have directors. You have directors of foreign policy, director of diaspora, director of energy, director of foreign direct investment. So why do you still need
a technical advisor?
A technical advisor and a senior technical advisor. And more than that, I want to ask her, where in the world someone who was working daily paid with less than 3 CXC subject could get a salary of over $14,000 when you have people with masters in the THA who are being paid $10,000?
Right.
And is that fair? I want to ask every Tobagonian, young Tobagonian that took the time, went and studied, made the sacrifice,
spend your money
and come back here. Either you're underemployed, you're not employed, or perhaps even when you're employed, you're getting the average salary, which is about $10,000. I want to know if you're comfortable that in the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, they were paying someone who does not even have a first diploma more than
5 CXC,
almost $16,000. Right? This person was a daily paid before. They take the person and bring them into the office. And I want to also ask the Integrity Commission and those persons who were investigating that, because I'm sure you would remember this thing called AudioGate. And one of the things about AudioGate, the discussion was about finding a way to pay people lucrative salaries to do propaganda. And I want to ask them to look into the operations of the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary to see, based on the qualifications, the term of engagement, the work functions of some of these people, whether this wasn't a feeding trough where persons were being hired, being paid exorbitant salaries, lucrative salaries to do almost nothing. Because at the end of the day, you have a director of policy, director of diaspora, director of energy, director of foreign direct investment, a technical advisor, senior technical advisor. And between all 6 of them, being paid a cumulative total of over almost $200,000 a month. You all couldn't get an office because if you listen what was said there, the main function was to deal with autonomy and to deal with setting up the Tobago House in Trinidad. And whereas, yes, they did rent the Tobago House in Trinidad, the office, we all only to realize we spent $2 million on that
empty
office
building,
and not one single soul occupied that office or benefited from that office for over a year. Yet you are paying so many technical people. So what were they doing?
What were the tasks?
But more than that, what is really so... There was a boast that this is the first time in history that you had an office of the Deputy Chief Secretary as a standalone office. And there was a boast, as the minority leader said, about all the things that this office was supposed to do. 2 years after, what is the real role of the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, and what has the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary produced in keeping with the mandate that they originally had?
Because you recall, first thing we saw was the trip in
Dubai. When we asked about the report,
we couldn't even get a report for that
till
trip.
now.
When you look at it, they've said autonomy is one of the main purposes of there have not been any meaningful discussion coming out of this administration on the question of autonomy. Other than platitudes. And they have I have said it, I think it's over 18 motions. More than 18 motions would have come to the House. And not one of those motions dealt specifically with the question of Tobago's autonomy. And if you have a specific, a standalone division of the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary set up to deal with that, with so many people being paid, well paid, in the context of Tobago, if Faith believe that these people aren't paid to industry outside Tobago, that is her business. But in the context of Tobago, anybody receiving anything close to $20,000, $30,000 a month, you are being well paid.
Very well
paid. Because there are number of qualified Tobagonians, qualified in all kind of fancy degrees, masters of all kind of things with honors, that cannot even get a good $12,000 a month. And they are benefiting from 30,000, 20,000, 25,000, and they can't even deliver a press release. I want to ask the Tobagonians, have you ever seen a press release? Just a press release.
But to say what though?
Coming out. That is the point.
To say what?
Have you ever seen, do you know what this office is doing? Have you ever seen any meaningful contribution from this office for you to be comfortable? And let us be real. Let us be honest. If you feel that what they are doing deserves the money, I say fair enough. But as a Tobagonian, understanding that there's an office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, have you seen any work coming out of this division to make you as a Tobagonian feel satisfied that the administration that is saying that they don't have enough money to do your business, that you are getting value for money? Because look at it. She's questioning the $4 million, but even $2 million.
Yeah, but you already spent $2 million in a year for a building that was unoccupied.
And this is
so you just give away that money.
These are the same people that is saying that they don't have no money. And Trinidad stifling them, and they can't do this, and they only have $6 million in development to do all of the infrastructure works. But yet, you spent over $2 million, because you had to, more than just the rent, you have to secure the building. You probably would have had to outfit the building. $2 million.
Think also
plus
about the opportunity cost that $2 million
could have transferred to.
because we're talking about persons not being paid on time.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have where daily paid in varying divisions, 2 and 3 and 4 fortnights unpaid. So that $2 million could have paid people on time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We also have information about the pharmaceutical illness in the hospital.
Yeah,
So that $2 million could have go towards that.
exactly.
We have
Food cards.
institutions
Food
where
cards.
people are complaining that they can't get food cards. That
Or
$2
some they
million
stop.
could have go towards that. We're seeing where Scarborough Sec and other schools not having proper remedial works. That $2 million could have go towards that. And there are a number
And
of
the young men and young
issues
ladies
who are unemployed.
and going to the offices, going to look for jobs and being told that there are no jobs.
Yep.
That $2 million could have gone to them. You said you cut workers, you send home people because you say some of the offices you needed to trim it down. You could have, that $2 million could have been $2 million that would have saved those families, saved those persons from being unemployed.
Yeah.
And
So
therefore,
what's the opportunity
we
cost
as
of that $2
Tobagonians
million?
need to hold them accountable, because I am saying you have to manage what you have. And this nonsense about them coming and trying to cry crocodile tears that they do have enough money is hogwash. This thing is about management, it is about priority, and it is about decisions. And the decisions that this administration is making at this time is inimical, it is poor, it is not to the benefit of the average Tobagonian. They are making decisions solely on themselves, because I tell you as we speak, they are about to restart that road down at Canoe Bay. And I told you as Tobagonians, in fact, I warned you initially that the manner in which they were starting that project was in bad faith. They did not have EMA approval. And I told you that EMA, once they take them to court, they will have the judgment in their favor. And that is what happened. They went to court. They now have to do the CSC. As far as I understand, they now have the CC, and they are going to start that project. That project is clouded with a number of questions. Because one, you moved from an option where you were getting dual carriageway with a number of high-profile amenities to go with it, and the Tobago taxpayer was not going to lose 1 red cent, because the monies allocated to Tobago was not going to be touched. It will have been a central government funded project for over $90-something million. You were getting 2 lanes up and down. You were getting all the different amenities that come with that, drainage and all of that. And this administration chose to forego that, and is now going to spend $65 million of your money. In fact, they are going to mortgage Tobago's future. So the future of your children, because they are not spending all that money up front. And they're going to put us in a debt hole because somebody believes that it benefits their pocket. Because when you look at the maths, when you look at the economics, it just does not make sense. If you are saying you don't have enough money as we speak, and you can get something built for you that is world class, that is even more than what you are going to build, why would you refuse it to go and spend your own?
When through collaboration,
from what I understand, and I brought the information to the public, the only tender process, the only procurement process I know of is a process that invited persons to bid on a dual carriageway. So the question is, when did this single carriageway, when was the procurement for this single carriageway? Who were the what was the process? What was the procurement process to identify this contractor for this single carriageway? Because as I said, the only process I know that was publicly engaged and where persons were invited was for a dual carriageway. And therefore, this is a matter that will engage the office of the procurement regulator. In fact, I will be writing to the office of procurement regulator asking for an investigation into the circumstances of the award of this contract. I would be asking for all documents pertaining this contract so that the people of Tobago can be rest assured that the process was above board. So I'm not accusing anyone at this time, but I will be writing for a full and thorough investigation into this matter to see how this project moved from an invitation for tender for a dual carriageway to an invitation to tender for a single carriageway, and then an award of a contract that did not receive at the time EMA approval, an award that at the time did not have a design for the project, and therefore this matter is one I will be writing to the office of the procurement regulator to treat with.
But Minority Leader, you it's confusing and puzzling, because if you don't have a design for the project, how you're costing the project?
Exactly.
What are you going to build or construct
Well,
without a design?
Well, based on the invitation to tender, they probably would have put out a design build.
So the contractor came up with a concept.
We don't want to let
them provide the answers.
Very well.
So Minority Leader, you touched on the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary fiasco. Still come and bring clarity, because she didn't give an answer. What it is happened on Saturday when we saw, for the first time in the history of Tobago to this magnitude, over 300 cruise ship passengers who would have paid for their tours. And we saw a failed system on Saturday. This is an embarrassment, an international embarrassment for Tobago. And this administration continues to fall into these things and boasting about the first and everything. But this is really the first time this has happened in Tobago. How do you feel? You all were enshrined in the whole tourism product and developing tourism and so on. What's this?
Well, as someone who have a real passion for tourism, because I understand the power of that tourism sector and what it can do for the island and its people. I've gone to different Caribbean islands. I've seen how many of our brothers and sisters live just off of tourism.
Yep.
So I understand the value, the economic power of tourism. And therefore, when things like this transpire, like what happened on Saturday, it pains my heart. In fact, people fail to realize that we really live in a global village. And incidents like that get around so fast. The amount of persons that were messaging me.
Yeah.
And it's because this thing has gone viral.
Yep.
And asking me, what happened here? What is this? And you're struggling for words to explain.
How do you come
And I don't know if the leaders and the leadership of the THA really understands their role, because they like to quote the THA Act, but the THA Act, I think, is section 25, 1, 2, and 3, tells you that the secretary is ultimately responsible for providing that direction, that general direction and control.
That's
and the word
convenient,
control is important, because this situation is not a new situation or a situation unknown to the secretary. We would have all heard as a news headline just recently, sometime, where the taxi drivers were complaining about some funds, some money is being owed.
Yeah.
And if you, as the secretary, understanding how impactful a situation like that, if not managed, and how detrimental it can be to the cruise sector, because whereas it's one cruise line, this now puts a damper across the board. And what you will recognize now, as Minority Council will tell you, based on our involvement, what we are seeing here the results of increased cruise calls is not a today work.
Yes, it's not
These
overnight.
things are 3-4 years
Explain
lead
that to
time.
the public.
I
People
want
want to
to
know that
repeat
too.
that.
Repeat that.
The work, the
calls.
results that you are seeing now did not happen overnight, did not happen in 2022. It started with work from 2017, 2018, from the secretary going
2019.
and negotiation.
Yeah.
What if you look as well, although the cruise calls increased by about 20 calls, what you have is a lot of cruise lines moving from short line ships to long line. So you're getting more people coming, more passengers coming in one call. And therefore, if you understand the work that would have gone in, this one situation could derail all of that. Because whereas you may get a continuation 5 years, if they realize, based on this situation, cruise liners will definitely
because it's not only the reputation of the destination, but it's also the reputation of the cruise
lines. It's on
because they have to protect their image, they have to protect their customers, they have to protect themselves.
And that is why I'm saying the secretary is ultimately responsible for this debacle, because if you're saying you met with stakeholders, and if you genuinely met with them and had the conversations, you would know that this is an issue. And then, so the question is, what did you do? Because you are the middle between the agent and the agent of the cruise line and the Maxi Taxi Association. And therefore, leadership, proper leadership would have dictated that you mediate this situation to alleviate this embarrassment.
Yes.
And you did not. You failed. Once again, the secretary has failed
miserably.
And as this buck stops with her, and the embarrassment that we all witness falls squarely on the laps of this Secretary of Tourism.
It was an embarrassment.
Yeah,
as a Tobagonian, you know,
it's like you don't know what to say when people
gasping,
ask.
But how do you respond to a situation like that? Particularly, like the secretary would have indicated that she's aware of the situation. So if you're aware of the situation, what did you put in place?
You did nothing.
Is it that you knew that this would have happened, blow up in her face, cause this serious embarrassment? Like how did you mediate? How did you manage this situation?
Well, on Thursday, I'm just verifying something, but at a press conference on Thursday, I will be discussing this a little bit more, because when I'm telling you this Secretary of Tourism, and I have nothing personal against the Secretary of Tourism, but you see, incompetence, I have a serious issue with incompetence, and I don't fall for nice talk. When I look at the actions being taken, this is a secretary that is on focus, and in some instance, is out of a depth. And the chief secretary has to understand that the tourism sector is not one to play with.
Exactly.
If she can't do the job, forget the politics, find somebody who have the requisite competence to take care of I believe the tourism sector is our most important sector in all of Tobago, and everything else rise and falls on tourism in Tobago, agriculture, our infrastructure,
injections into
everything. It is the lifeline, the bloodline, just as what oil is to Trinidad, tourism is to Tobago, and therefore you need somebody with the requisite skills that can give us that. You hear what the oath, what the law says. Direction and control. If the secretary does not have any ideas to the direction, nor has any ideas to control, everything would fall apart, and we are seeing it. The stakeholders would tell you the The industry is in a mess.
But when you look at the numbers speak
the
for
numbers
themselves.
are
The
showing
numbers.
where
numbers
even
speak for
Trinidad is recovering to
Every
their
other
post-COVID
Caribbean
numbers.
island.
We
Every
at
other
30 something
Yes.
And you're
percent
seeing
languishing
increasing flights,
behind.
increasing flights,
Barbados
increasing flights.
just increased. I think it's Virgin 25 flights a week.
Grenada just
just
increased.
had
Yes.
a JetBlue flight out of Boston.
Yes.
Look the source market that Grenada is getting. How many Grenadians live in Boston? So that means it is tourists who are interested.
Yep.
And I am happy. I welcome all awards because it says, that different people are recognizing. We know the treasure that we have here in Tobago. We don't need anybody to tell us that. But as we get awards is not an unusual thing for Tobago to get. We have won all kind of awards. From even our hotels have won awards, our beaches have won awards, the island continue to win awards, and I congratulate the island because that is something that is not new to Tobago. But what is the benefit of winning an award when the sector is not organized and is not managing a way for us to really maximize the benefits? When Tobago won its award in 2019 for best campaign, you saw the parallel benefits coming from that. You had Sunwing, new airline, you saw 2,000 new destination Canada, 2,000 new tourists coming from a source market that you didn't have before. You had AM Resorts, you had Sandals on the horizon, you had all these, you had Silver Sands, all these brand name players in the hotel accommodation industry lining up to come into Tobago. Then COVID came and we had to put a hold. But that is where you have plans and everything lined up because you had leadership. You had a roadmap. You had a clear strategy.
What is the strategy?
What is the strategy?
What is the plan?
What is the strategy? Where is the roadmap? But yet you have all these paid people doing absolutely
and she's
nothing.
Quick to come and talk about the minority leader and the minority councillor.
Let me make one more point before we close. Because I just want to make a point. How these people are so haphazard. They have no plans, no idea, and it's just by VAPs. What was the last motion these jokers brought to the house? Before our...
To have a company, a transportation company.
And remember they said they want to manage what?
Sea and land.
The same people, the same secretary who brought this...
Can't even manage a situation.
Can't even manage
with
a situation with some maxis to tote 300 people around the island.
Manage.
So you see how these people just full of fancy talk, no substance.
Yes, and it's the same thing that we said.
No action.
We said in the motion. If you don't understand the real issues, then you won't be able to determine solutions to resolve the issues.
That is what we were advised. We say, how will you want to manage A and C when you can't even manage? At least start with ground transport. Start with managing the maxi properly.
Well, we see that.
And we see the outcome of that. Chaos and confusion. Imagine you like to cost Cal, you like to cost Port. So who are you costing today?
I feel sorry, honestly, because this is a group of persons who came into office literally acting as if they know everything. No experience, no management skills, no competence, capacity, saying that they know everything. And to date, 23 months in, almost everything that they have touched has collapsed, has failed. And they're still standing trying to beat their chests.
But Marilyn, the thing about it is we were all new to this. And to me, there's nothing wrong with being new, being inexperienced, and saying, you know what, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. And that's the thing. The ability to be humble and willing to learn.
And the other thing is, and that is why I started with this issue of the pettiness and the separation and treating some Tobagonians as if they don't belong, because there are so many Tobagonians that are willing
to support,
to put aside all their, take off their political
because they are professionals
and just work for the interest and benefit of the island, and they have the experience, they have the knowledge, and they want to but you know what, the pettiness in
Vindictiveness.
these and vindictiveness is from these people is ensuring that they don't want no advice, they don't want no kind of
Dr. James
contribution. Look, Dr. James. Dr. James campaigned with them.
Yeah.
And perhaps for one reason or the other, they're not seeing eye to eye. But Dr. James has value.
Yeah.
Why not put aside the pettiness? All of a sudden, Dr. James, I'm seeing them and their supporters attacking
him.
The man.
Because he is not in support.
Yeah.
Because he's speaking the truth.
Because he's speaking the truth. And that is what any Tobagonian that speak up and speak out right now, all of a sudden, you are persona non grata.
Yeah.
You are the worst.
That's the atmosphere.
And all of a sudden, you appear them.
And all of a sudden,
you appear them.
Folks, I mean, we can go on and on. But before we actually go, a number of persons would have called and reached out and messaged today. And minority leader and I know minority councillor would have been privy to one of those conversations. I want us to ask the secretary, the assistant secretary of tourism, culture and antiquities.
The secretary.
The secretary with responsibility for culture, antiquities and so on. A question on behalf of a number of individuals who have been calling and reaching out. When are these people going to be paid for their heritage performances?
So we see a young lady singing. That went viral.
We saw one singing. Today my phone was going off the hook. You were privy to one of the calls where people were calling furious and asking the question, when are we going to be paid for heritage?
We are in November.
We in November.
Approaching December.
And people are yet to be paid for Heritage Carnival. Come and go.
You sure people paid for last carnival?
So we just want the Secretary Megan Morrison, to come out.
She's not the secretary.
She's the one responsible for that.
General
Direction. So we want the Secretary Tashia Boris to come out and let persons know when will they receive their payments for heritage performances. Again, when will people be paid for heritage performances? This is on behalf of the many people who have reached out to us and are asking us to ask the question on their behalf because they are afraid to ask it on their own. Closing statements.
I will end how we started and encourage people to speak out. And I want to do again this famous quote. They came for the communists, but because I was not a communist, I didn't speak. Then they came for the socialists, but because I was not a socialist, I did not speak. Then they came for the trade unionists, but I was not a trade unionist, so I didn't speak. Then they came for the Jews. I was not a Jew, so I did not speak. Then they came for me. And then there were no one else left to speak. People, don't be afraid to speak up and speak out.
Very instructive, and that is something that always sticks with me. That sometimes you may feel like you are alone, but sometimes I'm saying never be afraid to walk alone. Never be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. And sometimes you never compromise your integrity just to survive. I know a lot of Tobagonians right now. I hear it. I hear the frustration people in divisions. They're saying, I really don't know what's going on. People are frustrated at every level. And, but I know people also believe that, we just have to survive because I have a family to feed and I know they're victimizing people and I just had to do what I do. But, sometimes you really just have to stand for something. And I am calling on Tobagonians to stand with this minority to stand for Tobago. It's something we all have to stand for. And once we stand for Tobago together, no wicked, evil administration can conquer.
Yeah.
So I'm calling on Tobagonians to stand for Tobago.
Folks, you heard it, and I will close by saying the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is when good men
do nothing.
Folks, thank you for watching, and stay tuned as we continue to trot along this road. See you guys next week on the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David saying good night.